Hello, you wonderful people. So for today's video, I want to say goodbye to the series Doom Patrol, which is funny to say considering I haven't seen the final episode yet, and the final episode actually aired today at the time of recording this, but still, you know, the series has come to an end now, and I just want to kind of say goodbye to a show that I really love. Really quickly, if you're unfamiliar with what Doom Patrol is, it is a live-action DC series that follows a misfit team known as the Doom Patrol. There's a scientist named Niles Coulter who took in these different heroes with their respective situations. You have Cliff, who was a race car driver that was in an accident, and now all he is a human brain inside of a robot body. That's why he's also known as Robot Man. You have Rita, who was an actress from like the 50s, who basically fell into a chemical lake or something that made her body into, she's also known as like Elastic Woman or Elastic Girl. Basically, her body's kind of elastic, but depending on her emotional state, she might get so distressed that she literally blobs out. I mean, literally turns into a blob. You have Larry, who was a pilot in the Air Force, who got exposed to something while he was in space, and now his body's riddled with radiation, and he's possessed by this alien entity known as the Negative Spirit. You have Jane, who basically has, I can never remember off the top of my head, it's like 63 or 64 different personalities, and each personality has its own unique super abilities or circumstances. And you also have Cyborg, as in like Teen Titans / Justice League Cyborg. Vic ends up being a main character in the show, kicking it with the Doom Patrol, figuring stuff out on his own journey. And it's about these misfit characters on their journeys to not being the heroes you think. They are not the team you think of when you're like, oh, this does not look like a superhero team. It's quite the ragtag group of misfits, and it's such a beautiful show. The show is a comedy because it is legitimately funny and off the walls bonkers, but the show has some like amazing dramatic moments as well, because the antithesis of the show are these characters who are so broken, who feel so monstrous. Like, it's kind of like battling your own inner demons and also coming to terms with who and what you are, especially because a lot of these characters see themselves as a monster, and it's like there's like a therapy, like, I mean, Niles kind of acts as a little bit of a therapist for a lot of the Doom Patrol, and it's just them trying to figure their issues out, and it's just a great show. But I would also go, I brought it up being crazy and wacky. I would go as far as saying like Doom Patrol might be the weirdest show that's ever like been made. Like, there's some weird shows out there, but I feel like Doom Patrol, with just everything that goes down in this series, I mean, if you're familiar with the show, you know what I'm talking about. I mean, like, a fourth wall breaking villain like Mr. Nobody, sentient butts that try to take over the world at one point in time, some villains like The Brain and Senor Mala, which, you know, Brotherhood of Evil stuff. To be fair, that's not that wild if you're familiar with just DC Comics in general, with just a lot of those. But it's like, this show really dives into a side of the superhero genre that I feel like not many properties have touched on. Like, the only other DC property that I would say is just as weird as Doom Patrol would be DC's Legends of Tomorrow. But even then, it's like, yeah, but Doom Patrol's in its own lane of weirdness. But it's like, it's the culmination of all that. It's so good. Like I said, it's funny, but it's also dramatic. Like, it's a show that makes you feel something, because you're the complexities of these characters and their issues and their self-images of themselves. Like I said, them trying to figuring out, I mean, it's all about trauma. Like, these are characters riddled with trauma and a lot of like self-esteem issues and a lot of issues from their past, them kind of confronting, because these characters are quite old in the regards of, well, I'm sure like they've probably been around for a while in comics, but more specifically because it doesn't really come up much early on in the show. It definitely comes up as the show progresses, but you learn like they've been around for a while, and it never really gets answered until you're like, oh, there's a whole longevity situation mixed in, which that's a whole massive plot thread that's kind of come back up in the final season. But we're not going to really talk too specifics, but it's just a great show. Sadly, this show got canceled. It was at the same time Titans got canceled. So they were both in the middle of their 4th season when the announcement was made. Obviously, the decision, I think, was made even before the show started airing, but publicly the announcement came out. I think, like, Titans was through the first half of its season. Doom Patrol hadn't started the first half of its 4th season. But yeah, it is sad to see things end. And like I said, I haven't seen the final episode yet, but I'm sure it's going to end very strongly and beautifully. And it's just, especially where I'm caught up. So I've seen episode 11 of the season. 12 is going to be the final episode. So I know they're going to end all probably strong, but I also know it's going to end in a typical Doom Patrol fashion of being wild and extremely bananas, but also very heartfelt in a lot of capacity. I'm really excited to see how it all comes to an end, but it's a show that I'm so grateful that we got. This is one of those shows that was part of the DC Universe rollout. You know, that's where we got our we got Titans, we got the animated Harley Quinn series, we got Swamp Thing, and we got Stargirl. This is the animated Harley Quinn series is still going on, but amongst the live action stuff that started on DC Universe, this is the last of it. So it is kind of sad to see it end up to this era of the DC Universe that we've kind of gotten to experience on the televised side of things. So it is really sad to see this go. I would have loved to have at least one more season, but I think even the creators are kind of sad, for things to play out this way, but at the same time, they're happy about the way they've ended things. Once again, I have to preface this, I've not seen the final episode, but I'm sure I'm really going to enjoy it, because this show has just been fantastic from start to finish, and it's one of those shows, like, if you've been reluctant to check it out, you should check it out. You don't need any prior DC knowledge. The show does a really good job of just, like, throwing stuff in there, like, hey, if you're a DC fan, you'll get some of it, but if you're not, you can still enjoy the show for just being weird. And maybe the show might end up being a little too weird for some people. They're like, I can't handle, like, the craziness that is show. Like, I'm not trying to overhype it. I'm just trying to be realistic of it's a weird show. Like I said, I'm sad to see it go, but I'm so happy that we got the amount of seasons. We got 4 seasons with this amazing show, and that leaves me, that is the silver lining to this situation. And I can walk away happy with what we got from this show, not feeling too sad that we're leaving this universe and these characters, but happy that we got to experience this show, and I'm so grateful for it and all the people who were involved in making this amazing show. I should probably also note, this is like a very mature related show, so there's plenty of cussing, blood, and stuff like that. I put it, tonally speaking, it's probably close to like, with its wackiness and how crazy it is. I definitely put it closer to the animated Harley Quinn series if you've ever seen. But yeah, that's really all I wanted to talk about. So the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.